Texas men's and women's basketball are riding high after a strong week for both teams. Texas men's baseball comes back after an up and down to play OU this weekend in Austin, and Texas women's softball is business as usual. All this and more coming up in College Press Box. Welcome back to College Press Box. I'm your host, Colin Flickinger, hosting tonight with Parker Keston. But before we get started, we want to remind you that College Press Box is brought to you by catmetro.org, Austin Transit System. We connect you to work, school, play, and everywhere in between. Plan your ride to this weekend's game at catmetro.org. While Texas students were gone this past week for spring break, Texas men's basketball were hard at work, winning their first 3 games in the tournament to advance to the Sweet 16. Let's go now to Parker and Nolan to break down the team's tournament run.
Thanks, Colin. After going 1-4 in their last 5 regular season games and grabbing a first 4 bid into the NCAA tournament, Texas men's basketball is still dancing into the Sweet 16. I'm here with Nolan Clay to break down the Longhorns tournament run thus far. Great to have you with us, Nolan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Parker. I had a fun spring break, but now I'm ready to dive into Texas men's basketball's incredible NCAA tournament run.
Me too. Now, almost no one expected the Longhorns to make it this far in the tournament. What's the biggest change that Texas has made leading to its Sweet 16 appearance?
Well, yeah, that's a great question, Parker. And honestly, I think Texas's defense deserves a ton of credit in helping it reach the Sweet 16. During the regular season, the Longhorns' defense was terrible. Head coach Sean Miller constantly called out his team's defensive efforts all season, and it felt like it would be the Longhorns' Achilles heel come March. But it's really been the opposite. During conference play, the Longhorns allowed 80.6 points per game, but during the tournament, they've allowed only 68.3 points per game, including holding all 3 of its opponents to under its season average in points. Another crazy stat, Texas was 124th in the country in defensive efficiency during the regular season and 19th in the NCAA tournament. So what has led to this difference? First off, the Longhorns are guarding the 3-point line exceptionally. Their 3 opponents have combined to shoot 14 of 54 from beyond the arc. That means they're holding 3 of the top 68 teams in the nation to just 26% from 3-point land. It may seem like luck, but Texas has been excellent at fighting over screens and closing out shooters without fouling, which is something they struggled with all season long. The Longhorns are also doing a much better job of protecting the paint in its games against BYU and Gonzaga. Texas outscored them in the paint despite the teams having 2 of the most dominant physical forces in the nation, A.J. DeBonta of BYU and Graham Ike of Gonzaga. Those guys got their points, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, Texas has been able to shut off everyone else at the rim. And look, the defense hasn't been elite by any means. The Longhorns are still prone to defensive breakdowns, leading to fairly easy buckets for the opposition, but it's watered down a lot. Their defense has been solid, and that's all it needs to be because they have an efficient offense on the other side of the court to bail them out whenever they need.
Now let's highlight some specific players. Who do you think has stood out to you the most in Texas's tournament run?
Well, yeah, and I feel like it would be criminal if the first player I didn't mention was Texas center Matas Vokaitaitis, a.k.a. the Lithuanian Laser. Look, I was the first guy to call out Matas all season. He had a solid season, don't get me wrong, but against the more physical opponents, I felt like he softened up. That has not been the case in March. This guy is in full attack mode during the tournament, posting up early and often, pinning his guy deep for easy lob passes and layups, and most importantly, using his size on defense and rebounding. He's averaging over 18 points and 11 rebounds in this tournament run, and he's showing that he has the potential to be one of the best bigs in the country next season, and that's not something I thought I'd be saying anytime soon. Another guy who deserves a ton of credit is Texas point guard and leader of the team, Jordan Pope. Pope hasn't exactly lit up the box score, especially in the Longhorns' first 2 games, but in their games against BYU and Gonzaga, he stepped up and delivered timely buckets to keep the momentum on their side. That includes 2 huge 3-pointers to push Texas' lead to 7 against the Cougars and 5 against the Bulldogs in the round of 32. Without his opportune points, who knows if the Longhorns will be making the trip to San Jose for the Sweet 16. Last but certainly not least, Kendall Weaver deserves his flowers for being the ultimate glue guy. He showed out in Texas's first 4 outing against NC State, recording 11 points and 10 rebounds and getting tons of praise from Basketball Hall of Famer Charles Barkley. He also scored 8 important points against the Zags, including some physical drives against guys much bigger than him. You can always count on Weaver getting a huge rebound, block, steal, or now even a bucket. He's an energizer bunny and the heart and soul of this team. he'll be a key player in Texas' upcoming matchup against the Purdue Boilermakers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you mentioned it. Texas's next matchup is the number 2 seeded Purdue Boilermakers in the Sweet 16. What does Purdue bring to the table, and what does Texas need to do if its Cinderella story is going to continue?
Exactly. Well, those are great questions, Parker, and I'll start by saying that Purdue was a 2 seed and is here for a reason. They're a dang good basketball team led by the most efficient offense in the country, according to Ken Pom. The Boilermakers are averaging over 81 points per game despite having one of the nation's slowest tempos, which is somewhat similar to what the Longhorns have done on offense this season. They're led by 2 guards, Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, both who are averaging about 14 points per game and shooting impressive clips from beyond the arc. They also have a strong forward in Trey Kaufman-Wren, who does a lot of damage in the post, also averaging about 14 points per game. Long story short, Texas' new and improved defense will be put to the test once again. The Longhorns will need to continue to make life difficult for opposing shooters because Purdue is most equipped to hurt Texas from 3. One thing the Longhorns need to take advantage of is Purdue's rebounding triples. They don't necessarily lack size, but they rank 201st in the nation in rebounds per game, showing they are vulnerable in that aspect. Texas is plus 16 rebounding in its 3 tournament games, showing that they can take advantage of the Boilermakers' struggles in that category. It'll be interesting to see if Sean Miller runs out the double big lineup of Bokatitis and Nick Cody more often in this one to take advantage of that. Ultimately, this game comes down to who can maximize its opportunities on offense, and as mentioned already, both teams like to play at their own pace in half court. Because of that, I don't really see any team pulling away in this one. I think it has potential to be another really close game for Texas, and in those types of contests, a team who can limit turnovers, box out, get rebounds, and knock down looks when they need to on paper should get the job done. And Purdue should win a battle that comes down to the wire, but Texas has been extremely clutch in all 3 of its games, with guys like Tremont Mark, Jordan Pope, and of course Cam Heide coming up big in crunch time. I picked the Boilermakers to beat the Longhorns in my bracket, but I'm sticking to that prediction here, but I don't count Texas out. They might have one more shot left in the tank.
Well, only time will tell if the Longhorns can keep their momentum rolling and pull off yet another upset victory on Thursday. Thanks for joining us, Nolan, and back to you at the desk, Colin.
Thanks, Parker and Nolan. Next time when we return on College Press Box, we'll take a look into Texas women's basketball to talk about their dominant weekend in the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome back to College Press Box. This past weekend, Texas women's basketball started their first round of March Madness, advancing to the Sweet 16 after 2 dominant wins against Missouri State and Oregon. Let's send it to Colin and Trinity for more.
Thanks, Parker. I'm here with Trinitee Jason to talk about Texas women's basketball. Welcome to the show, Trinity. How are you doing today?
Colin, I'm doing amazing. It's March Madness, and there have been some exciting matchups and crazy outcomes.
All right, well, let's just jump into it. It has definitely been exciting to watch these games, but it's been even more exciting for the Texas Longhorns. The Moody Center hosted both of their first-round matchups this past weekend, so tell me, what are the strengths and the weaknesses the Longhorns displayed in both of their wins?
Well, Colin, let me just say, the Longhorns showed more strengths than weaknesses. They beat Missouri State and Oregon by 40-plus points, so there's no doubt they can put points up on the board. They were very efficient on offense, with their shot-making shooting 50% against Missouri State and 56% against Oregon from the field goal. The Longhorns were extremely dominant on defense with 9 steals and 31 defensive boards against Missouri State, and they had 13 steals and 27 defensive boards against Oregon. In the game against Oregon, the defense forced 15 turnovers and scored 23 points. The Longhorns know how to capitalize off any possession. This team is just outstanding on both sides of the ball.
Well, there's no doubt that they are dominating in every category of the game. The proof is all in the stats, and right now they are the number 1 seed for a reason. You spoke a lot about how well the team can produce together, so let's talk about the players who really make that statement true. This past weekend, Rory Harmon and Madison Booker both made history with the Texas team breaking the Texas all-time steals record of 372 steals, and Booker having a new career high of 40 points. Now, how have Rory Harmon and Madison Booker both elevated their games to another level to help this team succeed?
These two are just the ultimate duo, yin and yang. I mean, Rory Harmon is just the epitome of what it means to be a dog on defense. She's going to out-hustle anyone. She's physical, scrappy. She's able to capitalize off of defensive possessions, and she just loves the defensive game. As for Madison Booker, man, she puts the mad in March Madness. This is the player that just signed an NI deal with Kevin Durant. The way she's extremely versatile, being able to shoot anywhere on the court. When she gets that ball, just move out the chef's way and let her cook. We all know her sweet spot is that mid-range jumper. I mean, she's averaging 18.9 points per game, 6.8 rebounds per game, 3.8 assists per game, and shooting 51.6% from the field goal. These two players have impeccable game. Their performances, and along with others, have allowed the team to advance to their third straight Sweet 16.
I couldn't agree more. These two players are undeniably one of the best duos in women's college basketball. But as the Longhorns advance into the Sweet 16, what do you think this team needs to do in order to stay dominant against other teams in a potential championship run?
As my grandmother used to say, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. The Longhorns are peaking right at the perfect time. The ups and downs they have experienced through SEC play and tournament play, it's paying off right now when it's needed the most. I wouldn't change anything because right now they are clicking on all cylinders.
Well, that's great. Thank you for the analysis and thank you for coming on the show, Trinity. Now we're going to go back to Parker at the desk.
Thank you, Trinity and Colin. When Colin's Press Box returns, we will recap all the baseball you might have missed over the break. Stay with us.
Welcome back to College Press Box. After dropping their midweek game against Tarleton State and then their consecutive series opener against Auburn, the Longhorns rattled off two big wins to take up the series. Next up on their SEC schedule is a series against Oklahoma Sooners here in Austin. Let's go to Parker and Gabriel to find out more.
Thanks again, Colin. I'm here with Gabriel Silva today. How are you, Gabriel?
I'm doing great, especially after watching Project Hail Mary at the end of the break, which I would highly recommend to get out there and watch. And speaking of Hail Marys, I definitely said a few while I was watching Texas baseball in their nail-biting series against Auburn.
Well, didn't we all? Now, after losing the first game against Auburn and a dogfight in the second, can you recap how the Longhorns did against both Ole Miss and Auburn for me?
Well, it was an eventful couple of weekends during the break as the Longhorns baseball team began conference play, starting with Ole Miss here at the Dish right when we left for the break. In Game 1 of that series, Texas was up 7-3 heading into the top of the ninth inning after Thomas Burns walked the first three batters in the inning. He was replaced with Cal Higgins. Higgins got the first batter to ground out, but a run did score, and Higgins was able to get the second out of the inning, but with 2 outs and a 1-0 count, Rebels right fielder Tristan Becerra launched a no-doubt grand slam into right field and gave Ole Miss an 8-7 lead. Texas was able to tie it in the bottom of the ninth, but Ole Miss scored in the 11th and was able to hold on to break Texas' 16-game win streak in the conference opener. Texas was able to redeem themselves in the next 2 games thanks to a dominant performance from Luke Harrison, who went 7 innings, gave up 2 runs, and he had 8 strikeouts en route to an 11-2 Texas win. Then on Sunday, Dylan Volantis did Dylan Volantis things, as he went 6 innings, only allowing 1 run on 5 hits and striking out 11 in the process to give Texas their first series win in conference play. Then, last Tuesday, the Longhorns had a hiccup against the Tarleton State Texans as they were held to only 2 hits the entire game and lost 6-1. The Longhorns had a quick turnaround as they headed to the Plains to take on the Auburn Tigers. Texas's Ruger Riojas and Auburn's Jake Marciano went toe-to-toe, with both only allowing 1 run each. In the top of the ninth inning, Aiden Robbins would launch a home run to take a 2-1 lead, and Texas went into the ninth up 3-1. But then the bullpen troubles reared its head again in the bottom of the inning. After loading the bases, Auburn's Bristol Carter laced a single to center field. It looked like that would for sure tie the game, but the ball got through Aiden Robbins' legs, and the winning run came all the way around to score, and it gave Auburn a dramatic Friday night win. Texas would rebound on Saturday, though, to go up 6-0. But then the bullpen started to get unsteady again as they gave up 4 runs in the 7th and 8th innings, and Auburn had the bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs. But Thomas Burns was able to escape with a 1-run win on Saturday. Then on Sunday, the Longhorns completely dominated the Tigers with a shutout from the pitching staff, thanks to 5 scoreless innings from the bullpen, thanks to Sam Kozart, Brett Crossland, and Max Grubbs in the 5-0 win. That win gave Texas their second series win in as many weekends and keeps the Longhorns ranked as the number 2 team in the nation with Oklahoma coming up.
Well, what a tumultuous couple of games for the Longhorns. Now, can you give me your thoughts now that we are 2 weeks into SEC play?
Yeah, well, Texas currently finds themselves at the top of the pack when it comes to current SEC standings with a 4-2 record so far, but it is still early for any assumptions to be made. Texas still has series matchups with the aforementioned Oklahoma Sooners. They also have Texas A&M, Alabama, and Mississippi State, just to name a few ranked opponents. If Texas can get out of this weekend against Oklahoma with yet another series win, they might be looking comfortable as they head to the late stretch of the season in April and May. Right now, the team doesn't have many flaws, but the one part that has been giving them issues has been the bullpen. After blowing the last 2 Friday night games and having some unease in some other games as well, they are still getting tested as they weren't really relied upon in the beginning of the season with so many run rule victories that the Longhorns had. The bats are still doing their job, but I would like to see them limit the number of strikeouts and not let it become an issue like it did last season. Overall, this team is looking like they can get punched in the mouth and get back up and win a fight like they did this past weekend in Auburn. And they will need that mentality as conference play starts to ramp up.
Now, let's look at what's ahead for this week. Tell me about it.
Well, like we mentioned earlier, the Longhorns will be taking on their Red River rival, the Oklahoma Sooners, at the Dish in a 3-game series starting on Thursday. The Dish will definitely be packed for this top 10 matchup, and it'll be a series that could possibly define the Texas season as they head into the middle of SEC play afterwards. Oklahoma has won both of their first 2 series against Texas A&M and LSU, who are no pushovers in the baseball world, even if they're in somewhat of a down year. Texas will need to score plenty of runs so the bullpen can bend but not break late into the game. The starting pitchers for Texas have been elite all season long, so another weekend of great starts seems likely. All in all, it should be an electric weekend at the Dish, and if Texas continues their performance, another series win seems likely.
Well, I guess we'll find out sooner than later how that'll go. Thanks, Gabriel. Now back to you at the desk, Colin.
Thanks, Gabriel and Parker. When we return College Press Box, we'll take a look at the Texas Longhorns softball team, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to College Press Box. Let's send it to Colin and Brynlie to talk some Texas softball.
Thanks, Parker. I'm here with Brynlie Dean to recap Texas softball over the break. Welcome to the show, Brynlie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Colin. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Are you ready to talk about this excellent Texas softball team?
I sure am. This team continues to impress me more and more every day. Let's start off by recapping their series against Ole Miss. With the way they played in this series, Texas softball makes beating any team look easy. The Longhorns started off winning their first game of the series with a score of just 3-1 versus the Rebels. As the second and third games of the series came along, the Longhorns absolutely dominated. Game 2 of the series ended in the 6th inning with a score of 11-2. Game 3 ended in the 5th inning with a score of 15-3. This series sweep against the Rebels helped them tie the program record of 24 consecutive wins.
Wow, that's crazy. This team really continues to dominate every week. But can you recap and talk about how this team absolutely dominated the Baylor Bears?
Absolutely, I can. Both of these games ended in just 5 innings. For Game 1, freshman right-handed pitcher Hannah Wells made her 5th start of the season and got another win under her belt. Reese Atwood, Katie Stewart, and Hannah Wells hit 3 consecutive home runs in the bottom of the 4th inning to help the Longhorns get yet another win. The final score of this game was 10-2. Junior Tegan Cavan was the pitcher for the Game 2 against the Bears and recorded her 3rd complete game shutout. Center fielder Caden Henry recorded an amazing stat line with 2 RBI, 2 doubles, and a stolen base. Katie Bennett hit a 2-run inside the park home run to help the Longhorns reach their 4th consecutive run rule win.
That is a lot of run rule wins. This team seems absolutely stacked. What can you see this team doing throughout the remainder of the season?
Just as you said, Colin, this team is stacked. From freshman Hannah Wells to senior Reese Atwood, this team looks to be absolutely dangerous. They're ranked number 2, just behind Tennessee, and it might take a couple more weeks for them to prove themselves as the number 1 team in the nation. The game to look out for is when they travel to Tuscaloosa to take on number 4 Alabama. I do expect this game to be a real test for Texas, but I also expect that they will get the job done and come away with the series win.
Well, that'll do for us today. Thank you for coming on. Great analysis, Brynlie. Now we'll go back to the desk with Parker.
Thank you, Brynlie and Colin. When we return to College Press Box, we'll take a look at this past week in Longhorn sports and see what's ahead. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to College Press Box. Let's take a look at this past week in Longhorn sports. After number 2 Texas softball beat the Baylor Bears 10-2 on Friday night, the Longhorns extended their win streak to a record 25 games. The streak is the longest in the country and surpassed the previous 24-game win streak program record, which was held by the 2006 Longhorns. Texas has now improved to 27-1 on the season with a 15-0 home record.
Today, Tuesday, March 24th, was Texas football's Pro Day. After 7 Longhorns were invited to perform at the NFL Draft Combine, today marked one last chance for top prospects to give a boost to their draft stock and for league hopeful players to get their names into the minds of scouts and GMs.
Texas Giovanna Meeks was named the 2026 U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Association South Region Women's Indoor Field Athlete of the Year last Thursday. Meeks has made an immediate impact at Texas, recording 21 throws of 21.5 meters or higher in 2026 and posted the top 24 marks for the weight throw in program history, earning all SEC first team honors and recognized as the SEC Women's Field Athlete of the Week twice. Her honor marks the 3rd year in a row that a Longhorn has been named a South Region Indoor Field Athlete of the Year.
Now let's take a week at this week in Longhorn sports. On Tuesday, March 24th, baseball plays at Houston at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN+. Wednesday, the 25th, softball plays at Texas State at 6 p.m. on ESPN+. Thursday, on the 26th, men's basketball plays Purdue. That's the Sweet 16 on CBS. Baseball plays Oklahoma at 7 p.m. on SEC Network. On Friday, the 27th, baseball plays Oklahoma at home on SEC Network, and softball plays A&M at 6 p.m. on the SEC Network. On Saturday, the 28th, baseball plays Oklahoma at 4 p.m. on the SEC Network, softball plays A&M at 1 p.m. on ESPN2, and women's basketball plays an undetermined opponent on the Sweet 16. This Sunday, softball plays A&M at 1 p.m. on ESPN.
And that concludes this week's edition of College Press Box. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, please make sure to tune in to our other sports shows this week, including College Crossfire Wednesdays airing at 9 p.m. and the 1-0 Sports Show on Fridays at 11 a.m. Also, we invite you to follow our coverage on Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube at the handle TSTV Sports. Thank you to our executive producer, Kendall Unger, and all of our reporters in TSTV Sports. I'm Parker Keston, he's Colin Flickinger. Thank you for watching, and have a good night.